So now it's recording. Okay. So I use Google Classroom. I created an assignment. I do tabs so I can separate stuff. I need to be a little bit more organized because I can be all over the map. So in attendance, I made this daily journal submission and I used a Google form. As I was saying before, I was not the original creator. I worked with a person who created this, and we used to collect our data for our students, and we separated it by class. So we started this with Project Lead the Way. And I think this will work for doing attendance and getting feedback, because they want us to be able to have communication and feedback with the students. So I'm thinking that this will work. What I did do was I added a separate date question. It automatically is going to collect and timestamp when they fill this out, which is nice because if we got to keep track of it, I have documentation then. But it goes down to the second or the millisecond, so there's never going to be two entries at the same date, so to speak, because it also did time. So that's why I did this date separate. It's just their name, and then I'm doing this all in one class because I think I'm gonna be able to sort this, which I'll show you that. And then here's where they can just write their text, whatever, like, hey, gee, I don't get why we have to do math this way, or this, why do we have to read this stupid English thing? You know, the normal comments that you get from kids, you know, and then you can tell them why in your feedback. So once they submit it, it will automatically go to a spreadsheet. And now, do you guys see all of you on the side?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't see the whole spreadsheet, do you?
If I minimize you, and I think I can, I just minimized us. So I'm just missing the very top. So if you guys minimize, you can see the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I just did too.
I moved you down to the bottom horizontal row.
Yeah, that works because most of the stuff's up at the top anyways. So here's the spreadsheet. Have you guys made Google Forms before?
Nope.
All right, let's go back. So when I make my Google form and I build all the questions and all that, then if you go to responses, any response comes in here. This is wonderful if you want to look at a pie graph, but as far as separate data or feedback, to me, it's useless. So up at the top, there's this little green square, so I can view responses in sheets. And if I pick that, it brings me, and it creates automatically a Google Sheet.
Oh, nice.
It will give you the option. I wanted to make sure I didn't ruin my sheet. It'll give you the option to create a new sheet, or you can add it to an existing sheet if you already have one. So I do a new one. So, so if you're going to split your classes and do a separate one for each class, I would copy and make a different form. You know, same form, just copy it, and then I would make a new sheet for each one. That way, it's separate. But so as the student enters information, it comes in here, and this is what I was talking about, the timestamp over here on the left in column A, that it's all the way down to seconds. So if I tried to sort by the date, it would never find any two the same. So I have all the information from the students. So here's the date that they actually put in. So I would be able to sort or filter by just this date if I decided to do this for a whole week long, and then I wanted to look at Emily's responses to see if she showed up for 5 days. Then I could sort it that way with this filter up here. So if I turn the filter on, I should be able to, let me turn it off. Turn the filter on, it highlights all of the possible cells, and then I can go over here, pick filter. By default, it turns all of the things on, and I can select whatever I want. I think they're all the same date, so it's really not much for sort. Let me sort Emily. Here I have the two choices, so I could just sort by one of them. And what it does is it just hides the other data. It doesn't delete it. And then if I unfilter it, I should get it back. Or if I just turn the filter off altogether up here, I get all my stuff back. So that's easy to filter. But the thing that I like is they wrote feedback here, and I can respond to their, I'm sorry, they did a journal entry here. I can write feedback, and then when I use a thing called Formule, I can send back my feedback to them. It timestamps it, and it gives me documentation for who I sent back to. And Formule is an add-on, and you just go to add-ons, get add-ons, and you can get Flubaroo, which will grade if you want to make a form and grade stuff into the spreadsheet. Or here's Formule. So you just search for Formule, you'll add it, and then you kind of got to set it up. But let me show you how it works. If I preview and send, it will, I don't have to select anything. It will go and look based on the way the form is set up from the forms or the columns that I chose to pick the information from. It says it's going to send 2 forms here, or 2 responses. I can send it now.
I like your guys' conversation on there. You said blah, blah. I respond, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was probably me practicing sending it from Emily's computer. So see right here, it just sent these to her. And in her email, she now has 2 new responses that say, yeah, 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 and here's how it's done. So once it's set up, it's really that easy to be able to go and just look at what the kids did, type the feedback. Like I said, it gives me a date and a timestamp, so I can find out, are the students working at night on this stuff, or are they working in the day based on when they submit it over here? But like I said, I can sort it however I want. I can sort it by name. I can sort it by whatever. I don't know.
So this makes it so that we can take attendance if we need to.
Well, one of the things they kept talking about more than attendance, because the middle school and high school is supposed to go on and take care of attendance themselves. Okay, but one of the things that they were talking about was having interaction with your students. Well, how are you going to have interaction with your students?
Yeah, good question.
If you're not supposed to have really one-on-one Zoom meetings, and some kids are taking care of siblings or sharing devices, they can't necessarily be there all at the same time. So how are we going to get together and kind of hold a class at the same time or do anything? So I think that this gives us a way where we can get some feedback from them. What are they having a problem with? What's going on? And I can give them some feedback.
And the question I have is for the students that wouldn't show up at all. What do you do with that? Nothing?
That you report to the principal, don't you?
No, actually what they said was reach out an email to them and
Their
parents. Maybe a phone call, no different than any other way. And then what they said was if it's, you know, really becomes no response from any way in any direction, they're working on trying to figure out what the process is. They don't really have an answer for that. That's what Suzanne Johnson said.
Okay.
It's really no different than, you know, in school. If they're not doing any work, you're going to email them home. You're going to call home.
If they're still not responding, then you go to your principal or assistant principal and talk to them too.
Right, but I think they're going to come out with a document as far as, are you supposed to go to your assistant principal or principal? Because Suzanne Johnson said that that's kind of a work in progress that they're trying to work on. They don't have a definitive answer about that yet.
Right, but if you look at the handbook that he made, Josh Carpenter did, It said attendance falls on the principal and assistant principal, but, or sorry, not attendance, but if kids aren't showing up to class, it falls on them for you to contact them.
Yeah, I mean, after I went to the parents and got nowhere, that I
Right,
could do that.
right.
But in the case of dual language, I think that we need to also bring on board Gaian for the dual language purpose. Yeah,
Good point. Yeah, good point.
yeah.
My question is, so you use this Google form, the kids use it every day to sign in? They just change the date?
Actually, what happens is, let me, this thing is driving me crazy here. Can you still see the screen?
Yeah.
The journal? Okay. Well, before you couldn't. So what happens is when you go into here,
One of these every day?
what I'm doing is using the same one in attendance. You can resubmit this form. So what I did when I
more
set
than one
this form,
submission.
when I set it up, where is there? When I set it up in settings here, I did not limit it to one response.
Okay.
Okay.
So they can keep entering and entering and entering. The only thing that I found when I tested this that does happen is, let me do one real quick.
I'd rather see Emily than myself. There she is.
So it shows me that I submitted it. And then now if I go back to my class, it shows that I turned it in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go here, oh, I can't do it because Emily turned it in before. When the students do it, they can unsubmit it.
Oh.
Always do that though.
So I wonder if it's better to just kind of redo one.
No, because then you're going to have a different spreadsheet
every
every day.
Right,
Let me,
right.
oh, it's in downloads. I made something and I'll show you because it'll show you the screens. Where is it? Ah, it's on the other computer. I can send you a link to a little video that I made. And it shows what happens to the screen. So what happens to the screen is, because I pulled it off of Emily's, because I submitted off of her, because I added her into this class. And so it says turned in, and then right next to it, there's a button that says unsubmit. So once you turn it in and you get this response screen, this one, once you get that, then you come back to here and it's going to show that turned in. All the kid has to do is click unsubmit. So, and then the next day, then they will know the next day that they haven't turned it in.
But the kid has to hit unsubmit.
But the kid's going to have to do it, but as I said,
By accident?
it automatically sends an email to the student because I have it send a copy of your responses will be emailed to you. Okay. So whatever you respond, once you submit, you're going to get a copy and the student is going to get a copy in their email of what they submitted for today, for this submission. So they will have in their email something that says that they turned it in.
Okay, then my next question is, if they unsubmit it, is it not visible to you anymore?
No, it will still be here in this spreadsheet. It doesn't take it out. I tested that yesterday.
Okay.
So it's just like a toggle button on off of submit and unsubmit because they didn't submit anything. You know, it's not like they had
they entered their responses, yeah.
So like, let's say you're going to have an assignment, a worksheet, whatever, and they press submit or, you know, to that form for attendance, they're going to have to press unsubmit so that they can attach their document and submit the document. Anyways,
Got it.
but
Got it.
nothing actually got submitted. It just toggled that button for some reason.
If they go in the next day and open the Google form again and put in a new date, it's all-
Right, exactly the same thing. They
Okay,
just go
right.
back here, not here. They just go back to this, do the same thing again. That's why, so I experimented with that. I did it a couple of different times. So I know that I can use the same one. And mainly because I didn't limit the responses to only one response. Because I was
Russ-
not interested in adding another one of these every single day.
Um,
So,
After-
students, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
After this has been going for a while, does it say like 400 turned in because it adds up a cumulative total for every day?
Yeah, it will grow and grow and grow. And,
Okay, good. That's fine.
let me see if I got one here.
So, Ross, is one Google form per day, so they change the date only, and you keep the same spreadsheet, right?
Yep, and so here's an example of a class that I did it for a bunch, a few years ago, 16, 17. And so everything's all in the same thing. It's all in
Okay.
one file. Now, if you want to keep it neater, so let's say this goes on for 3 or 4 weeks, or we don't go back to school anymore this year, which could happen. You can copy this and make a new tab. And in each one of these tabs, so I made tab for a week, and then I copied it and made a tab for a week, and then I started it again. So what I did was I took my original one and I copied it, renamed it, and then started over. And that's where, if you're interested in doing this, I made a video yesterday playing around with this, and I could share that with you, because you have to set up this form for
Add-ons.
Formule so that you pull from the right tab. Otherwise, it won't send anything. Because like yesterday when I started the video, I had nothing in this form responses, which is where the form's set up, and it wouldn't send any emails, and I was kind of like, what did I do wrong here? And I left it. I didn't chop that out of the video because I thought it would be a pretty common thing that someone else would do, and they would be able to solve their own problem. So I'm willing to share that with you if you want to look at that and see. But once you set it up, it's really not that hard. And I'll share the Google form if you want, and you can chop it up
Yes, please.
and make it whatever you want.
Yes, please.
Okay, Russ, I have a question.
Yes.
Can they submit for tomorrow?
Today? Can I submit
Yeah.
for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But it'll be dated for today.
Okay.
So that's like in the
Oh,
video.
I was thinking that too. It was an honesty question.
It timestamps it exactly the minute they hit submit. So I already made a video for my students that's kind of like a setup video for this, and I said, hey, I already thought about you advanced students who are thinking already, I'll wait till Friday and I'll boom, 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 knock them all out at the same time. It timestamps it, and I'll know you didn't do diddly squat all week long. So that's one of the things that's kind of nice. It timestamps it for exactly when they press submit. So I don't, if you're going to do this and you want to do this, you may want to make Screencastify is really easy and really nice. You just say, hey, I set this stuff up ahead of time, and then I just did the screen. Like I said, if you get the, if I send you the video for how to do this formula thing, you'll see you just put stuff up ahead of time, and you set it up, and you just go and talk, blah, blah, blah. Save it, send it. You can save either right to your Google Drive, or you can save it to YouTube if you have a YouTube channel.
I have an old one.
No.
For videos.
So yeah, like I said, I'll share a copy of the file, and just make a copy of it.
Yeah.
for yourself in
Yeah.
your own drive, in your own folder. I made a folder called Distance Learning, and I started putting this
I
stuff
did
in there
too.
so that it would all be together, because otherwise it's going to be all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Good idea. Good idea.
I did the same thing.
so, yeah, so I'll send you an email for my intro that I did, because then you'll see what I did. I used, what did I use? Smart Notebook, because then you can do slides in Smart Notebook, get it all set up, and then just talk about it. It makes it a lot easier to talk about it. Just did really quick.
Did you talk over it? Did you do like a screencast over your slides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had it all. I set it up first in Smart Notebook. Then I started Screencastify and I recorded it. And then I just talked about it, you know, like normal, like I'm in front of them in class, really, pretty much. Saved it, sent it to my YouTube channel. Then I put that link, and you can even embed the video in a Google form. I did that too, because I needed to have a poll. I wanted to poll the students as far as did they have a computer that they could put Inventor on for my sim kids, so that we could find out if we could keep doing the project we were working on. And so I put a little video, talked, asked some questions, blah, blah, blah. And then I had a few questions, and then they submitted. I put that up there, and then they did it. So you can put a video in Google Forms too. So
We're going to be using your services, sir.
Yeah.
More questions. Emily, you've got a built-in tech guy. You're lucky.
I have a question about what Lisa was asking in the chat when she was saying,
oh, I didn't look at the chat at all.
okay, we were chatting about you while you were there, just
I
kidding.
figured that's why I turned it off.
But the question was, she said, is it better to set up, do we think it's better to set up individual Google Forms for each class? But if you assign that to each class period separately, doesn't it already separate it? You make the same form and you have a multiple choice question
Yeah,
which
I
period
know.
you're in, so you can sort it.
I'm going to
remember,
try
I
it
signed-
all in one, because then I only have to go to one form to look at.
Mhm.
I could go down, I can sort it by class and do one class at a time. If I know my students well enough, I could just write down the line and do a response. Do you know what I mean? But if it's like, oh, what the hell class is this kid's in? And I don't remember, then I might separate them out by class and do it. But I think I'm
That's why
going
you
to
have
do
to
it
have a
all
question
in
for
one.
that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it all in one. Then if I ever get questioned by somebody, I don't have an administration that I have to be that concerned about that I'm aware of. To me, that's like all the documentation in the world that I would need to say, get off my back.
Well, I'm just thinking, like with my situation and Gladys, we don't all have like you, just all the same, like you have all your classes, nobody else co-teaches with you. We've got like co-teaching, we've got CC class. I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out, should I?
So you may want to do it separate.
Yeah, because like, Danielle and I are working together, Gladys and I are working together. Like one of us could man it, or I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way.
Assign it to the class.
Actually, you just have to share that document.
Yeah.
So if you share the document and you share the spreadsheet
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
between the two of you, then either of you could do it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I used this for a survey question with my kids this year. And last year I was doing it and I was like, how do I get them sorted? And you have to have the multiple choice question with your class period is the easiest way to have that as a field that you can sort once it converts to a spreadsheet. But also Google Forms are nice because it's the only assignment that if you edit it in one, like you edit the Google form, it changes it for all classes. So like you create your Google form questionnaire and then you assign it to all 5 of your classes or whatever. Then if you go into one and change it, Google form updates all of them, unlike a regular assignment where you have to open each class once you've assigned it and edit.
Same thing with assignments, like let's say you have worksheet or some question and answer type thing. If you make it a Google Doc and when you assign it in Google Classroom, you pick the choice that says make a copy for each student.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if they make a copy on their own, it breaks it. and then they won't get updates. Because I've done that where it's like, these aren't quite the right directions, and I've gone and edited the directions, and they get the update.
Got it.
So, Ross, you don't, when you do a Google form, you don't do make a copy for each student, because I was reusing one Google form that was used by Dual Language. So they sent out to the students Dual Language, classes, and they sent them in Spanish. So I used one Google form, but when I assigned it, it didn't allow me to get make a copy for each student. So is that okay? It's supposed to be like that?
Yes, yeah. So for dual language, you may want to make one form that maybe you can put the questions in dual language. Would that work?
I mean, it wasn't like it was a form that all the dual language programs were using for, beginning tomorrow. So the student needed to answer that before tomorrow or so. And they needed to answer the questions to see how they are going to be learning, if they have the, a space to learn and something like that. It was a kind of generic thing, but somebody gave me the form. So I just, changed the name and the class name and so forth. And then I put it on Google Classroom, but I realized that it wouldn't allow me to make a copy for each student. So I was wondering if that was right or not. And say, oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
that's the way that it is. I didn't make a
Oh.
copy for each student. It's just
Oh.
one form
and that goes
in
to
the
whole class.
assignment, and it goes to everyone within your class.
Okay.
The most important thing is that you didn't just put someone else's form in, that you actually made a copy of it.
I made a copy.
Because
I made a
otherwise,
cop-
all the info is going to go to them, not you.
Yeah, so no, I made a copy and I put it on my Google Drive, and then I uploaded to Google Classroom, my class, and then I posted in Spanish. So I posted that so
Okay.
the students in science can see that, and they were able to complete that in Spanish. But I was a little bit concerned because I didn't see the option, like when you upload an assignment and said make a copy for each student, I didn't see that. So I deleted like 5 times and it wouldn't show up.
Oh, yeah.
Is that normal or
No,
what?
that's forms.
I posted anyway.
Yeah, just one time for the Google form, and then you got to go back to the form in your drive and go to responses to
And
see
then I
their
would get it.
responses. But like I said, or like I was showing you, I don't like their response tab because it's, even looking at it individually, I would rather look at it in the spreadsheet, but that's a preference thing.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I
Yeah.
used it, like I said, for a grad class for a little
Yeah.
write up, and I used all the pie charts.
Yeah, there's some things that's fine, but
Cool. Yeah.
if I'm just looking at it, I want to sort this stuff and give it
Sure.
feedback, then I don't want to do that.
No.
So,
Thank you. Appreciate
all
it.
right, well, I'll send you,
Yes.
I'll send a copy of this, if it should be able to, because I'm doing record, and then, but I'll send you the other ones. It might have to be 3 separate emails based on size
Okay.
and that, but so I'll show you the intro that I did and that, just for ideas.
Yeah,
Delete
and
it
then
if you want.
And now you can stop recording and mute your mic
Sure.
and keep
There's
chatting.
my-